Are we set?
Wild power.
Right.
So,
hello everyone. Welcome to the podcast. My name's Bradley. I'm an aspiring motivational speaker plus comedian, apparently, according to these two. I'm joined today by my two co-hosts, Jay and Hayley. So, Jay, if you want to introduce yourself first.
Hi everyone, my name's Jason and I run a men's mental health group called Men-talk.
And then Hayley.
Hi everyone, I'm Hayley and I run a female mental health group called Broken Beauty.
So today we're going to start doing these questions. So Hayley, you've got the first question. Let's see what's happening then.
What's happening in the
The
world?
first question that we have been sent in is how has lockdown affected your outlook on life?
That's a good question. Jay, do you want to start? 'Cause I know obviously you see from everyone else's perspective. What do you see from everyone else's and also yours as well?
How's the lockdown affected people's lives? Well, it's affected people's lives like in a massive way. You know, when it actually happened, took everyone by surprise. We all went into lockdown and life as we knew it kind of stopped. So, you know, everyone's fearful. No information as to how long it's going to last for, how bad it's going to get.
Yeah.
So, you know, just plunged the whole of the UK into like...
As more
fear
people
mode.
messaged you, because obviously, you know, with men talking that, with obviously not a lot of people know what we do, so like, obviously we get people messaging us, more specifically you, because to keep it more confidential. Have you seen a rise in messages?
At first, no. At first, it was quite sort of well, not quite as such, but there wasn't sort of that big spike. The spikes come more sort of recently. Yeah. Now that things are starting to go back, and we're in like the sort of third, fourth sort of month. It feels as though the effects of like 3 months ago is really starting to gather pace and have an effect on everyone. A bit like PTSD.
Yeah. Well, Hayley, obviously, for those who obviously don't know again, you've only just made Broken Beauty, haven't you?
Yeah.
How has that been like with the lockdown? How's that affected you specifically as well?
Well, we only launched on Mental Health Awareness Week on the 18th of May, so well into the lockdown. But the amount of people contacting me were saying that in the beginning of lockdown they found it quite relaxing, it was quite nice, it was a bit of a holiday, although the anxiety of not knowing what it is and the unknown. But then, you know, having the kids at home, a lot of women, and being stuck indoors, obviously through a period of time it really gets to you, and not kind of knowing what's happening, not having the support out there. So it's really, really impacted a lot of women's mental health significantly over the period of time, because the first couple of months it's a bit easy, not easy for everybody, but it's like, you know, it'll end soon, and now the unknown, it's just carried on, and although restrictions
it just feels never ending really,
have lightened, no, it's still, and it's not safe for kids to go back to school fully yet, although some are integrating back, so it's extremely stressful for a lot of people trying to do homeschooling, and
it's been really hard, because I know there's obviously everyone in the UK, it's not just specific people, like even key workers in like hospitals, like all the nurses, they've obviously still had to adjust their life, haven't they? Yeah. It's been hard, but you know, I'm going to be the first to say it, I think Corona's a load of crap. You know, I think what we're facing right now is just, you know, something that we should never have to face in our lifetimes, to be honest. But let's move on to the next question anyway, because we've got a load of questions to get through for a load of people. For people that don't know, this podcast is not really that serious. We just kind of have a bit of fun while spreading information as well, just to make sure that, you know, you, the viewer, no matter who you are, you get like a little safe area to like just relax, have fun with us. You know, we're going to make jokes, we're going to, you know, take the piss. It's going to be fun.
So we've got another Corona question here. So it's, what are your thoughts on the second wave of the coronavirus? Will it be as bad, worse, or how will it affect you?
Ooh, it's a good question, that. God, you know, the second wave, you know, what is the government going to do? Is it going to lock down schools again? Are we going to go into furlough once more? You know, and the thought of people being told that, do you know what, we've got to go into another lockdown for potentially another 3 to 6 months, just doesn't bear thinking about.
Don't forget though, because obviously with the rate of infection, because according to The Guardian that I read up earlier, the original rate of infection was between like 2 to 3, but now it's gone to like 4 or more. which I don't understand what the statistics mean, but it sounds obviously really bad. So it's showing that it's like 3 times more than influenza, which shows that there is bound to be a second wave eventually, which means obviously we've only just started getting, they've only just announced the pubs are going to turn back, which I can't wait to get back to, if I'm honest with you. But does that mean the second we get a spike again, are we going to go back to like, I said, anyone out is going to get arrested or something? What is it that's going to like happen? I just feel like the government haven't done all the necessary steps, if that makes sense.
I mean, it's really difficult. It's such a balancing act between like, people's lives and the actual economy. Trying to get a balance of the two, so people can have some sort of living standard and still go about, do work, or the kids can go to school, or they can go shopping and get food, versus like the fact that there's a virus out there, it's killing people, you only have to talk to people, you get infected, it could kill you, you'll take it home to your family, they'll get infected. It's your worst nightmare ever. I mean, you can't even compare it to like going to war. We do have a common enemy, but we can't see it. We don't know how it's going to impact us, where it's going to strike.
And also, war's not really going to take down the economy, is it?
It's
not as such as Corona would have. Well, it has. Sorry.
Certainly the timescales and that. Yeah, it's been overnight, hasn't it? Really.
Yeah, it's just not. It's not really. Well, what do you think, Hayley? Obviously,
it's the fear of the unknown, isn't it? Yeah. I mean, the first wave has had such a detrimental effect on people's mental health. I mean, what's the second wave going to do? The anxiety and the fear that people have, and then they're kind of told, oh, do you know what? It's all right now. You can go out as long as you don't have to social distance as far.
Oh, it's now 1 meters now. So
and a lot of the kids in the local parks are all playing. They're all together.
It feels like
it's
the
just
most
increasing
global...
the risk, but some people don't take it seriously, other people do, depending on your thoughts. But it's for the people who are suffering with the mental health, it's going to have a huge.
It feels
huge
like the
impact.
most global restraining order I've ever had. Just that it's on every single person in the world, because obviously there's 2 meters, then 1 meter. How is that gonna obviously like you say on mental health with all the people obviously because due to a recent study made by a counsellor in North East Derbyshire, Councillor Oscar Masrini, the stress levels, the anxiety levels, the depression levels have gone to an all-time high. Why is it that these have all gone to an all-time high, and obviously we've had millions and millions of support for furloughed staff, but we've only had £5 million in mental health charities.
Yeah.
Why aren't we getting more? Why aren't charities such as Men-talk, such as everything else, getting more support to get more people involved in it? That's what I don't get, because I reckon with this new wave, the second that there's going to be a spike, they're going to go, oh crap, a lot of people are now feeling more depressed than ever. What are we going to do? There's nothing we can do. But yet there's already help, like charities out there that are like, we're literally here to help you.
I mean, it comes down to prioritisation at the end of the day. What does the country need most and first off? When this kind of pandemic hit, we needed people working in the hospitals to look after people, PPE. And we needed food provision parcels being delivered to people, and so mental health is kind of in a queue of priorities, but it's not the biggest one. It's kind of like, it's a little bit behind. And plus as well, with any change as big as this, it takes time. So, you might get through the first week and say, right, okay, it's been a bad week, let's see how next week goes, and then next week's maybe a bit better or a bit worse, but then over the period of say a couple of months, people have spiraled. You've got your financial problems, people have got into debt because they've been furloughed or they've been made redundant, I should say, and obviously people's physical health, not going out, exercising, and the mental health as well. It's just it's all taking a huge battering at the moment. But mental health does take a little bit of time because to kick in.
I think the thing with Corona and the correlation between mental health, obviously it goes hand in hand. But obviously people like me, for example, with my mental health, the first thing I worry about, because I'm more of a joker, more of a kidder, is I'm gonna be in lockdown. Crap, my waist size is going to go up, which to be honest it has. You know, I only wear joggers now because I can't fit into any of my jeans. But luckily for me,
like that, Bradley.
Luckily for me, I can wait 2 hours outside of Primark, but you know, who's counting? But that's the only thing that started to affect like me personally. I know a lot of people will think the same, but then eventually when it goes on and on and on for like 12, 14 weeks, it's like, oh yeah, this is actually happening, sort of thing. It's you know, I'm still kind of in disbelief. I still think I'm living a normal life personally, but like it's still hard for people like me. That's why a second wave will affect people like me more, because we're only just getting into the first wave. So the second we go, oh well, this first wave's done. Wait, there's another one? What's happening here then? Like that, we'll just get confused. We won't know what the hell we're doing personally.
I mean, we've not really talked about a second wave, have we, as to how people would cope or what the country would do. I mean, surely you'd like to think, well, we wouldn't do the same again. We'd handle things better. We'd have things put in place. So, hospitals would have more staff, or we'd have more PPE, or we'd have more sort of services out there to help. But, you know what? I don't think anybody knows. That's the feeling I'm getting. That there's no sort of clear direction as to what we are going to do should the worst thing happen, and maybe people are just hoping that it doesn't.
We're sort of in a maze blind, and we're trying to just feel for the right route. That's what it is, really.
Well,
But at the same time, we've had a glimpse of what it's like, so now we can kind of prep a little bit towards it. And I totally agree with what Jason was saying about mental health being in a queue, and it's at the back. But the problem is the impact that it's having. It's going to have effects on people's mental health for many, many, many years. And all the things that are happening now with like finances and the economy and stuff. It's going to then continue. People losing their homes, people not being able to afford certain things. The way of life has changed. The impact having the children around constantly with no break. A lot of people are carers full time, and it just the effects with no break.
The thing is, like, obviously going from like the queue as well. Like the queue, obviously, mental health is at the back, but who's going to cater for the other queue when everyone, because of the mental health, is dead? Because we can't. I've struggled with my finances. I've struggled with this. I've struggled with that. I'm furloughed. I'm now dead. The queue is going to get dramatically shorter because of the something in the back. When that something in the back clearly is more important than most other things. Like, as long as you can sort your mental health out first, you can sort out your physical health. We can do our own home gyms and that. Obviously, with the lockdown, we've been allowed to work out and go out for exercise, blah blah blah. But like getting furlough, for example, where's the support for that? Everyone's like, oh well, we can go back into another job, this and that. But you can't if you're struggling so much that you're planning on committing suicide as such.
Well, I think this is where like all the charities and all the voluntary organisations come in, and they're bridging that gap, aren't they, between all the NHS services, which are really stretched and overrun. And this is what needs to be recognised, that is much needed.
Oh yeah, definitely.
I mean, the second wave, when they say it's going to be worse, I seem to think that they're not just talking about the virus. I think they're talking about life itself. So, in terms of the second wave being worse, furlough. If you look at the statistics for how much borrowing our government's done in April, it's in the trillions or hundreds of billions and whatnot. We can't afford to have another cycle of this, or it can't continue the same way. So the second wave, I should say, would impact. People would lose their houses, have no jobs, get ill. So that it's as though the first wave is kind of like a warm up, where the second one would have such a huge impact, so much more than the first one, on many different layers. Which is the scary part. If you've got no job and then you've got no home and then you're ill, what are you expected to do to survive? And the kids aren't at school, and it's just a nightmare scenario. But what would happen?
See, the thing like that is, it's broke over poor. What would you rather be, broke or poor? Like, people like, oh well, they're the same thing. No, being broke is being broken inside. You know, oh, I'm broke. You know, I've got a terrible mentality, but I've got a house. You know, my parents would class themselves as broke.
Yeah.
They've still got a car, a house. You know, they're still paying. They're still keeping on top, but because they've got no money left over, they class themselves as poor. But because they're still happy with what they've got, they're not broke as such. Whereas obviously being poor is, you have no money to your name. You are genuinely poor. You've got no money. Whereas being broken is more of a mentality. So, you know, I would rather lose my house. I would rather lose my car. I'd rather lose my job. As long as I can stay happy, and you know, able to carry on for myself, I know I can get it all back. Because it's not about having materialistic things. You know, most of the millionaires in the world don't own houses because they say it's a poor investment. That's why they rent. You know, it's better to rent apparently because you don't spend as much money in the long term compared to if you sell a house. You know, say you buy it for 200 grand, which is the average house somewhere, and then you know you sell it more over years because obviously inflation and that. You sell it for 30% more. Obviously, you know that would be a bit more. Then you've obviously got to pay a bit more, and then blah blah blah.
So you've got 4 kids, and your parents have got nowhere to live.
Mm.
What do? You've got no job. You know, you're going to lose your home. And you've got 4 kids.
Well, it's how do you feed your kids?
Yeah.
You know, a lot of people are relying on food banks at the moment. A lot of people are contacting me.
It's been a rise, hasn't there?
You know, there's so many. We're lucky in this area. In Derbyshire, there's so many amazing food banks and volunteers and stuff who are absolutely amazing. But you know, if you can't feed your kids, what's the worst feeling in the world as a parent if you cannot provide for your children? What does that do to you mentally?
Yeah, you feel as a failure.
And then you know, you can't feed them, you can't afford to clothe them, you can't put a roof over their head. That affects you.
Yeah. I think the best thing is about like us 3 talking is because we are from 3 different generations. As of right now, you know, I'm
So,
you're, you know, obviously I'm the youngest, you know, and then obviously, you know, you being I am. You're only like 5 years older. It's not much, but obviously, you know, me being the youngest, I see it as like a teenager kid's perspective of, oh, I don't care as long as you know this and that. Obviously, you know, you've been through like different jobs, several jobs. So if you've seen the finance of it all, you've seen moving out, you've seen, you know, the cost of, you know, living and feeding your kids and, you know, such and such. So obviously, I can't see that perspective yet.
I mean, we're sort of in a, you know, the best of a worst case scenario of being in like the UK, with us being able to sort of, you know, with quantitative ease, we've got the ability to sort of print money, so you know the government can still pay welfare, they can pay whatever it needs to the government's bills to pay. So you know we will have money to a degree, but as to how long that could last for, and then like going forward, what sort of future have we got? I mean, you know, they've announced the big reset last month, I think it was. You know, the next industrial revolution's taking place. It's happening.
Yeah, did the other one end a few months ago? Actually, I'm pretty sure there was something about that.
Yeah, they got a meeting in January to get together the heads of so many countries to come up with like, you know, a way forward, climate change, a new currency, that kind of stuff. I mean, when you call it the big reset, and the last one happening after the Second World War, it means a fundamental change to absolutely everything you're kind of, you know, used to, and you know, a totally different new way of living. And it could be for the best in the long run, but that transition, you know, it's not going to be easy. Do
you think that might relate to the, obviously, do you know, like on the news they'll talk about the Mayan calendars, because apparently the world was supposed to end
2012,
but obviously because of like the 8 years or something, it was supposed to end on the 21st of this month.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know,
no,
2020 is the year for you guys, but like I, mean, I reckon because it's saying like
good job about the life, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, I'm only just starting. Bloody hell! But like because they were saying the end of the world's this month. Was it going to be the end of the world or as we know it? Because of the big reset.
Define the end. You know, we often think it's going to be like a judgment day where this huge meteorite comes and just destroys everything. But you know, change can mean a lot of things, and like a big reset is exactly what it is. It's a total kind of like, do you know what? we've had 70 years of trying this method of giving people credit and living beyond our means, and producing these bubbles of housing and cars and God knows what, and it can't carry on anymore. You know, the world isn't heading in the right direction with the way that we're doing things, so we have to sort of have a big reset, you know, and draw a line. But
it's like balancing it, isn't it? Bringing everybody down to that level.
And like you say, you know, this debt bubble, we can't pay it off.
Oh no.
You know, unless some aliens come down and pay it off for us, which isn't likely to happen. But yeah, it's going to be quite interesting, you see, because obviously they don't want civilization to break down to where we go back, you know, hundreds of years and start killing each other.
How would you feel that we would become as, obviously, like, not politically, but obviously, you know how we're, you know, very social, you know, we can talk about this. Do you reckon we'll become more like Russia in a way where, you know, it's everyone sort of thing? Do you reckon that will be it, or are we still going to be like how we are now, in a way?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Like, again, define define freedom. Does freedom mean that you can go and see your friends whenever you want, or does freedom mean that you can use the internet? You know,
or does it mean you can do whatever you want as long as we can see where you are?
Well,
And monitor what you're doing.
Yeah,
and monitor what you're doing, and
Absolutely.
you know,
they're doing that in China, aren't they?
massively, yeah. And the thing is, as well, that sounds like a great idea in principle. You know, to sort of like reduce crime. You can make sure that criminals, you know, aren't doing.
It's pros and cons. That's,
Yeah.
you know.
But with any sort of totalitarianism, any sort of like control from it in a single place, well, it never sort of stops, does it? It always becomes something else. Well, if we can control them, or if we can watch them all, why don't we start controlling them, telling you what to do?
Dictatorship.
And that's happening in this country already with, you know, with the tracking and trace app.
It's like having an incentive gun pointed to your head. Like, if you don't do this, then you know you won't get 20% off.
I mean, they have labour camps that you will be taken to, and your family are taken to if you do not follow the narrative of the government. In other words, do what you say. Yeah, it's not that kind of camp. You know, and they've got social credit, which has gone online. So this sort of 600 million CCTV, countrywide, 1.4 billion watching you with facial recognition AI. So you know, they can see you on a bus, they can see every minute of the day what you're doing, but which in itself doesn't sound too bad, because you think, well, I'm safer because, you know, somebody's watching me wherever I go. But, you know, it's come to the point of where they're trying to change society as a whole. So if you do something that's just like a misdemeanor, like walking across the street, you're not paying a bill on time, even if you don't see your parents as often as they consider you should be seeing them, you will get a low credit mark,
low social score,
which, you know, that's one thing. And then the second part of it is the way they apply it. So they enforce it by, for example, if you went to the cinema and the trailers are coming up, they will have a section where they will show you pictures with names and addresses of people who are deemed like, you know, not the best of society. And they've not committed a criminal act. They just haven't paid a bill on time or whatnot.
You haven't done anything socially acceptable.
But the app would know that they have gone to the cinema with their family and will publicly shame them. If you go to the shopping mall, they've got huge screens with your face on and your name and address, like a wanted poster.
So you get punished just for not being
I'd get more
on time
popular,
and
you
everything.
know. I'd do it on purpose, just I'd like, that's me, look at me over there, that's it, take your
but it can
photos,
affect,
guys.
you know, if
You can't get a loan, you can't get a job.
Get a house.
It's even on dating sites now, so on social media. So when you're on your
don't date him. He didn't pay his water bill. Don't.
When you're
a
on,
man that has a good social score.
When you're on, say, Facebook and whatnot, and somebody friends you, if you've got a low social credit score, it affects them.
If they're your friend.
If they're your friend, they will get a lower score because they're being associated with someone who's not. You know.
Oh, mum, it's screwed. Sorry, pals. Sorry.
I think the thing is, though, that's a whole conversation we could go on and on about.
Let's move on anyway, because we're obviously getting way too into this. Let's try and answer as many questions and just try and get everything done in it.
Next question.
As you can all tell, I'm really tired, and this is the first podcast, so I'm really trying my best just to let it go.
Sponsored by Mum.
But yeah, sponsored by Monster Discuss with the next
Sponsored
question.
for every child.
What great things are you doing to boost your immune system?
Sleep.
I thought you were going to say your Monster there.
Oh yeah,
That's not
also.
really.
Sponsored by Monster.
And Jason with energy drink as well. Yeah.
That's a good question.
From a young person's perspective,
Yeah.
what are you doing to boost your immune system?
Well, as a young person,
I mean, do you know, no disrespect, but do you know how to boost your immune system?
by what? I'm going to presume it's by obviously keeping healthy and doing and eating specific stuff that can help your white blood cells, because obviously your white blood cells are basically your immune system.
Yeah.
So it's obviously about maintaining a good health. Obviously, health is defined by your mental health, social well-being, and also your physical well-being as well. So obviously, they say on average at least half an hour to an hour exercise a week. So
Down losers.
look now losers.
Yeah.
So for me, keeping my immune system boosted, I mean, to be fair, I only eat 5 things.
Tell you what, give us 5 things that boost your immune system. Not that your immune system should need boosting at your age, but give us 5 things.
Cabbages. Peas. What, foods or like things?
Things.
To do? Oh, things.
Yeah, I tell you what, give us 3.
I don't think,
Otherwise, I won't have any to say.
I don't think I'm allowed to say this third one, but regular sex for those who need the.
So is that a physical thing, emotional thing, or
Both.
a mental thing?
Well, if it's good enough for you, mate. No, it's just about keeping on top of yourself. Not in that way, but like maintaining your social well-being, mental health, and physical health. Just trying to stay healthy, and then obviously
What, through sex?
Yeah.
And what do you do for the other 58 minutes of the 60?
Mainly cry and apologise for being too fast. Look, I'm sorry. No, apart from crying, I usually just I cook food in the time as well.
What kind of food do you cook?
Chicken and fish.
What, pot noodle or?
Yeah. No, I actually don't eat fish. Kettle's on, what was on. No, basically, I don't really know because I feel like we're on about different topics now.
Immune boosting.
Yeah, immune boost. That one. Just
So we've got sex.
looking after your body, because if you look after your body will look after you.
In what way?
So eating healthy.
Okay.
As stupid as it may sound, I don't really believe in dieting, but I do believe in having the right nutrition. Having the right amount of stuff like protein, carbohydrates, like that. Because obviously, after a night out drinking, all alone now, thanks to lockdown. After crying after that, I like to put on some toast, some bread, because the carbohydrates, absorbs all like the alcohol and all like the bad, stuff inside me. So it helps me, recover quickly. Pardon me. Plus, make room for more stuff, sort of thing.
Okay.
Some more beer.
Yeah.
Well, Monsters.
Well,
Sponsored by Monster.
I think for me, eating really well, taking a lot of supplements and vitamins,
What,
things like
Viagra?
that. To try and just boost it a little bit more, making sure I eat a lot of fresh stuff.
Yeah.
And exercising regular, just to,
Yeah.
keep myself physically healthy. Try and do, half an hour a day, or it don't always go that way. Up to an hour a day, something,
Well,
few
Jay,
days
as the only person here that's ever like competed like physically in something, how has that made your immune system boost? Do you think? Because obviously
What do you mean with the bodybuilding and stuff?
Yeah, because obviously you also did martial arts, didn't you, as well?
Well, yeah, 2 different sports. But the bodybuilding diets aren't good for you. Even though you're reducing your fat percentage down, you're not eating vegetables, you're not eating fruit. You're basically just doing whatever you can do to get through the day on the lowest amount of calories possible. So you burn all that fat. But it's damaging a bodybuilding diet. But that's another thing. But a taekwondo is just like any other sport, really. I suppose. Again, if you're doing taekwondo, say regular, then you need to be eating well, because if you're not, you'll get injured and you won't recover. You'll be hurting. But I think for immune boosting, certainly from a mindfulness perspective, is trying to cut out stress in your life. It's
I think that'd be good for mentality as well, really.
Well, absolutely. It's like it kills two birds with one stone. I mean, it's well known that it absolutely hammers your immune system like stress. And I know you're young and don't know what stress is. When you have children, you
welcome to the podcast where Bradley gets bullied.
But certainly, goodness mate, there'll be people out there that have got like real big families and are under a lot of pressure, and they're having to work from home and teach the kids school stuff and just get through the day.
But they don't get a break.
They don't get a break. So how do you reduce your your stress levels? I mean, sort of, meditation is a very, very good thing for helping to do that. I've seen people do it in the park. Obviously, if it's not raining, that's a bonus.
Yeah. Your umbrella out.
Yeah, but it's all it's important to sort of protect yourself from like the virus and social isolation. But I think it's also important to boost yourself as well. So if you've got particular issues, say you don't like your job, now might be a good time to retrain and to do something that you do like, if that's possible.
Well, we were saying about that, weren't we? Because obviously most people that don't know, obviously Jay runs Men-talk, but I started as a volunteer and I gladly became part of the team. I was very proud to be coming into it, but we was discussing about people were saying now's the time, because you're not going to be at work for a while, to just train something else, didn't we? We were going on about it at some length. If you're not at work now, you've got all this free time, you don't know what to do with it.
Yeah.
Try taking up something that you've always wanted to do. Whether it be knitting or archaeology. Obviously, they're two different things, but like if that's what you want to pursue, now's been such a golden time to do it.
Yeah, I know, and it's difficult. I mean, if you're at home and you've got kids and you've got, a family life and stuff, and you're furloughed, and, you've got your own mental health to get on top of, and then your own physical and emotional health to get on top of, and then, to try and then sort of take on something more, it's difficult. But I suppose, looking at it, it's an opportunity, and if you're doing something that you enjoy, even if it's just as a hobby, doesn't have to pay the bills. You don't have to change your vocation, but maybe it's a good time to enjoy a hobby that you've always wanted to do, and if that gets you out of the house a little bit more, even if it's for half an hour a day, then you know what? If it means you're coming back as a better person and you're happier within yourself, then it'll improve your health, and it can only help. But it's difficult. I mean, a lot of people would have been just happy with the way things were. They've got a mortgage to pay.
Yeah.
They've got a job that they've worked hard to get.
And it's their norm, isn't it?
Yeah. The kids go to school. They see their friends. They've got they've got all these. Everyone's got a life that they've spent years.
It's very bland, though, isn't it? It's very bland because a study actually shows that more millennials are increasing more. Is it like extravagant jobs? So like more outgoing jobs. So like being a photographer, going out and doing things, sort of things like that. More millennials, so people like my age, for example, are just going out and instead of just doing like hard labour and just being a plumber or something. Because if I'm correct, plumbing is actually gone down in jobs for like the people doing it, whereas like people on social media based jobs are on the rise because people have found, oh well, if he can do it, I can do it. If she can do it, I can do it, sort of thing. So that's why, like obviously going back to like the big reset, people are finding more technology jobs. To say that because I can't pronounce it like that. But let's move on to the next question. Anyway.
I was just going to say, I think a lot of people though like a simple life, and a lot of people like it being, do you know what, I just go to work, I come home, this is my thing, and then they have their own time in the evening or in a day at some point to do their own thing, which is what keeps their mental health in a good place.
Yeah,
so
my
I think
parents are like that.
you know, while all this is going on, as long as you can find something, whatever it is, just to give you that mental stimulation and that break, it don't matter what it is. Like Jason was saying with the hobbies, that's what counts. So it don't matter what you do, as long as it helps you. That's the only thing that's important.
It's like coping mechanisms, isn't it? I suppose really is like, you know, you could treat a new hobby as a coping part of a coping strategy. So, you know, and you might not be able to go into these places or do it in the normal ways, but, you know, I suppose it's about sort of having a think and seeing whether it is feasible. So, you know, if you like to do if you want to do certain things, you might not be able to do it in the same sort of way, but still try and have a go and see how you can best do it. I mean, going back to the discussion on millennials, you know, they're in a fortunate position where when I was getting to like 18, you know, once you went to uni, before the war, once you went to uni, that was kind of like a cut-off point where you were like, you know, 18, 19, you were like, that's it, I'm on my way now, so I'll go to uni, I'll go and live on, you know, in digs and whatnot, and when I come out, I'll get a job, and that'll be it. I've effectively left the home.
Yeah.
So in my day, you were kind of sort of, you either went and worked in a, say, a factory and be a labourer and work your way up that way.
Yeah.
Or you started off as like a temp in a company and work your way up. Or you go and get further education or higher education and then go in a bit higher up.
Well, now they've got apprenticeships now, haven't they? So so even people at like 16, you know, just as second they're in year 11, instead of applying for colleges or like A-level, sixth form sort of thing, they can just go, actually, I want a job. Let me be an apprentice somewhere.
Yeah, and apprenticeships as well, and they were great. But the difference being is, in my generation, you couldn't wait to get out of your home. Come 18, no disrespect to your parents.
No,
but
you were gone.
You wanted to, you either wanted to go or you were made to go.
Yeah, I'm 1 year late.
So you
I'll
could,
be out eventually.
So you could fend for yourself, and but quite often than not, that didn't give you the opportunity to think about what you wanted to do with your life. It was more of a case of, right, you're 18, off you go, sort yourself out, go to uni, go get a job, have an apprenticeship, whatever.
Yeah.
Where nowadays,
there's not as much
35.
pressure.
there's not as much pressure.
You can kind of,
Kids can stay with the parents till
it's 25, 30, yeah.
I've got friends who stay with the parents till well gone in the 30s.
Well, it's like I'm lucky then.
So I suppose if you've got that option, it makes sense to try and discover what it is you really are passionate about and what you want to do.
Yeah, so that's the good thing, obviously, to keep advantage, because if your parents are saying to you, well, you know, stay as long as you want, you obviously not take full advantage, but like, I say, yeah, I'm going to be on benefits, blah blah blah, but it's a good time for you to go, okay, I may have to pay rent eventually or blah blah blah, but what can I focus on now? I really want a job in photography. Okay, let me save up my money, get a camera, snap, try and, you know, get out, do like wedding shots, because they're really popular, wedding photos.
You just got to try, haven't you?
Yeah.
And see what's out there. There's no rule book, and there's no big book that teaches you how to do stuff, I think.
Oh no, yeah.
People think, it's easy to think that there is, but people just get an experience from just trying.
Well, they call the rules social, because, you know, social life, because say for example you're 30 living with your parents and all your mates are got their own house or flats or whatever, they'll, you know, in your social life they might be like, why are you still with your parents for? You know, obviously, also with like kids and obviously when you're older, like 20, 30, obviously you get your mates, you know, they start having kids and they start asking you, you know, like, oh, when you're having kids, until the part where they stop asking you, which then gives you more of a worry. But it's not about doing things to social expectations, but it's to your own.
Yeah.
So obviously, say if I want kids at 50, don't know why, that'll be my choice.
It can provide a lot of pressure, can't it? You know, social expectations of people and what they are. But I think a lot of people now in their 30s and 40s decide for a big career change, you know, like Jason was saying, because you do the thing where you leave home and you go into education or you go into a job and you just do what you've got to do, and you don't always know what you want to do, but then, you know, when you get in your 30s and 40s you figure that out, and actually then you try and strive for something that you love. But you know, you guys, you kind of at your age now, you've got an opportunity to find what you love before.
Well, you're sort of having a career change, aren't you? Because obviously going from, you know, where you are now into Men-talk is a bit of a career change, isn't it?
I suppose if I was to jump from one career to the next, then yeah, definitely. But like Hayley says, you know, through just life experience. And I mean, I've done my job for 20 odd years, and I know now that there's no future for me. It's not like I don't want to advance up a career path or anything. I'm more than happy with what I've done, and yeah, so I'm at that point where I can seriously think it's not just a phase I'm going through or midlife crisis. It's actually a genuine desire to do something that you're passionate for, but obviously it always comes down to a lot of it is money and bills and
having a midlife crisis.
And priorities. When you've got kids, you've got to you do what you do because you've got to support them, and you've got you
put your aspirations on the back burner. As much as you'll try and hang on, it's just not really. It's very, very difficult. Unless you've got somebody maybe helping you and supporting you financially, like your partner. Trying to, do what your passion is whilst you've got young children is incredibly difficult, and I commend those who've done it. But for as a parent, I can understand that. What matters most is putting clothes on the back and feeding them and giving them stability
and giving them time. Because if you haven't got time when they're with you and spending that quality time because you're too busy doing everything else, that's not good either.
Yeah, true. Well, shall we move on to the next question anyway? Because we spent 20 minutes on that.
Right.
Only 41 minutes in. I hope you lot are enjoying this.
How has social media affected your mental health?
Ooh.
Horrendously. From like a millennial perspective.
And I was this millennial.
It's absolute crap. Like. I know you get like the older generation.
I'm glad you didn't point at me then.
No, I would have got slapped if
pre-millennium.
They start they see this and that, but we don't see it as much, even though the depression is hitting us more. There's more of a correlation because there was a study that showed that there's correlation between social media and depression, because there's causation as well that fits into it. So the more time you're on it, the more like depressed you might become because she looks like this, I'll never look like that. He looks like this, I'll never look like that. So it's always been comparing. The seconds that Instagram came out, people were like showing the best parts of their life. They weren't showing when they just woke up with no makeup on, looking like they just came out the back of a Netto shop. They look like they just look like they've walked out of bloody, I don't know, any high streets.
I mean, how do you cope with the volume? Like, for example, there's not just one social media app anymore. There's a host of them, and they all do varying things. But when they all started off, they were quite sort of niche. For example, like YouTube videos, LinkedIn, just about your work stuff. Facebook about your personal life.
They're all connected now, aren't they?
Because obviously Facebook's with WhatsApp.
So now they're all connected, and you're
Yeah.
expected to put in so much information into so many of these.
Yeah.
How do you sort of select one over others, or do you try and keep up with everything?
See, I sort of have them all. I've got Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. So like, I've got like all of them. I see all of them. I'm on them pretty much every day, all day. And what I've done that's helped me is I've not had as many people on. Like, I've always given myself the advice of, if I won't have them at my wedding, I won't have them on my Facebook. Because why are they supposed to know my private stuff if I don't want them to? Like, some people on like Instagram, you follow because you're like, whatever, you follow. Because I don't really post information on there, I just post photos. So what what I look like. Big whoop, you're not the paparazzi, you know what I mean? Whereas on Facebook or something, obviously, you can find anything out from where you live to your bloody blood type nowadays. I don't want, Joe down the road knowing that. You know what I mean? It's just a bit weird. So obviously I've only got like 100.
How long do you spend a day on social media? And I don't mean through like, your sort of motivational speaking and
just flicking, just generally
just
looking,
self-gratifying, curiosity every day. I mean, I must admit, I've gone to bed and then thought I'll just look at say TikTok.
Yeah.
And before you know it, an hour's gone by. I'm thinking, Jesus, what am I doing?
Yeah. It's hard because I'm either doing one of two things, and that's looking on social media or playing on my PlayStation. I'm very boring, to be honest. But like all that, or I'm usually on my PlayStation on YouTube whilst I'm scrolling through Facebook.
You're not selling yourself here, Brad.
I'm really not, no. But like, you know, bar from doing, you know, 17 hours of fitness every day, I'm just about 17 hours of social media. And even then when I go to sleep, roll over Facebook, look at some videos until I fall asleep, sort of thing, you know. It's...
Do you think you've got some sort of addiction? And now I'm not saying it's a severe one, or it's not, you know, do you think you are addicted to a degree, or do you think it's more of a programming where you feel that it's just part and parcel of what you need to do, rather than you have to do it? Do you just feel as though it's just going with the flow?
It's a subconscious thing now, because obviously, you know, due to the official definition of addiction, it is sort of an addiction.
Well, could you stop doing it? Would it cause you problems?
If I got rid of my phone, yeah, I could. It will affect me. I'm like, oh, what's everyone saying? I'd have a bit of a meltdown, but eventually I'll just get out of it, because I know people back when I was in secondary school, you know, 4 or 5 years ago, you know, they would say to teachers, oh, I can't live without Facebook, I can't live without Instagram, I can't live without this, you know, the same, they can't, that's an addiction.
But if you've not been on it for like a day, and the thought of not going on it, would you get anxiety, thinking you've missed something?
Or
you've not seen something, or...
I'd only get anxiety in the case of, what about if someone said something about me? You know,
what, in a good way or bad way, or...?
Either, because if someone talks positively about me, cool, take it on the chin. If someone speaks negatively about me, cool, take it on the chin. But why? You know, I'm always asking myself, why? What? You know...
So it's interesting that, because it's like you're going on Facebook not through curiosity as in like, you know, what other people are doing, it's actually maybe what other people are thinking and saying about you.
Yeah.
Which throws into a whole new sort of light, doesn't it? It's kind of like, it's a defensive mechanism. Like, you know, how do I protect myself from people saying this about me and that about me? Because it'll affect your relationships with friends and
it's
stuff.
weird, because like if I had the choice, I would delete social media. But
well, you could. You have a choice.
But I haven't built a career yet where I can, because I want to use social media for good, where I can, you know, not show myself off, but show people what I can do, so I can,
it's
you know, start networking.
It's the
easiest platform to start networking, and obviously, you know, due to Men-talk, I did start networking with, you know, counsellors and such, so I can get more information from them to do other things such as like Oscar. But
so what ratio do you think, and I'm not picking on you or anything, I'm just interested, like what ratio in your average sort of day are you spending time sort of amusing yourself and you know, looking at people's stuff compared to actual stuff that's productive and will benefit your life, like give you that career that you want, give you that job opportunity?
Yeah, I'm out of this. Yeah. No, as a ratio, I'd say about 9 to 1. Like every 9 posts I see.
Let's talk in time. Say.
Right, in like what, 24-hour day?
Well, say you're on it for 10 hours. I mean, you're not on it for 10 hours a day, are you? But say like, I don't know.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Minutes.
Yeah,
you know.
same principle really. Every like 10 minutes, 9 of the minutes will be looking at different crap. Whereas one of them will be like, oh, this will be really good. Let me make a note of it.
Mm-hmm.
But with that note, it'll just then go on my notes, and then that's it. Until I go, now's the time, sort of thing. Because obviously, you know, I can't just be motivated all the time. I can't be a motivational speaker 24 hours. You know, I'm obviously going to have down days. I'm obviously going to have down time. You know, I can't. You know, you can't just make one quote up and think you're a motivational speaker. It doesn't work like that. It's about, you know, maintaining the attitude as, you know, you can. You know, being motivational isn't about being happy all the time. It's about showing your emotions for the better.
Well, you're Bradley, aren't you? You're not just Bradley the motivational speaker.
You're
Bradley.
Yeah, exactly.
And, you know,
So do you think sort of 9 to 1 is a healthy ratio for you as a person?
Well, it's better than 10 to nothing, isn't it?
But it's not as good as...
It's better, yeah.
You know. I'm thinking of like, you know...
in terms of your mental health.
Yeah, in terms of your mental health and the things that make you happy, rather than, say, spending time seeing what other people are saying about you, because when you're a motivational speaker and you put a video out there to post, you're going to not criticise, you're going to judge yourself anyway, aren't you? Because people are going to see it. But yeah, that's done in a very positive way, because you're producing something, you're making a statement, this is what I believe in, this is who I am. Where when you're just browsing, which we all do, it doesn't sort of bring anything positive to the table.
See, I'm still like learning having a positive attitude. I'm still learning about other people's opinions. Like if you speak to the top 10 influencers, whether they be singers, writers, whoever, the number one thing they would say about social media is take it with a pinch of salt. Their opinions do not matter. And I'm still struggling to find that's the case, because I'm still young, I'm still learning in a way. We all are, but I'm still allowing other people's opinions whose life doesn't matter to me. You know, I don't mean like obviously if they were suicidal, obviously I'd help, but like, you know, they're not my friends.
Well,
I don't know
they're
who
not
they
in
are.
your life, are they? They're not your family, they're not the people you go home to, they're not the people you're around every day.
So what's the attraction with engaging with those sort of people?
Well,
is it because of what they might be saying about you? But it's interesting, like I not that I don't care about what people think, but I can't think about what people think, because it would take up so much of my time and put me off and distract me in so many ways. I always try and hold true that what I'm doing is helping others, and 2, it helps me, and 3, it's something positive in my life.
That's the
in the majority rather than...
Yeah, that's the mentality you need, because I've always said to all my mates, you know, because one of the number one things I've always gotten is my mates saying, oh, he's calling me a liar. And I always go, well, did you lie? No, I didn't. Well, then why is it bothering you? As long as you know in your heart and in your mind, I didn't lie, why should a false accusation bother you? Why should, you know, someone saying, oh, well, you did this, you know, you did that, when you clearly didn't?
But that is easier said than done, when it gets in your mind and it takes over. You know, somebody can accuse you of something and you've absolutely categorically not done it, but it'll still affect you. You know, because how could somebody accuse you of something you know?
But it's about having that strong mentality, because not a lot of people nowadays understand what it means to have a strong mentality. You know, a lot of people nowadays, not that it's a bad thing, but rely on others to help them, you know, get an ego boost, get this sort of, you know, self-esteem from other people. When
that comes down to like the likes and that, doesn't it? You know, if somebody puts a post out there and it gets a lot of likes, that self gratification, it's like as though those likes have given
your self-worth.
Have given this person credibility to exist and to be online. They're worthy of people's attention, and it's all
Whereas really, if you're happy with the post you're putting out and you're putting it out for whatever reason, whether it be because you like the photo, because or you're trying to send a positive message, as long as you're happy with it and you're comfortable with it, it shouldn't matter who likes it.
Oh yeah, exactly.
As long as you're getting your message out there. If it helps people, fab. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
You're sharing a part of who you are, not to be judged or, you know, categorized or anything.
It's to show who you are for you, not for you to show who you are for other people to like you.
Yeah.
That's really what it is.
It seems to be that way now, doesn't it? It's kind of all about perception of what others think about you. So if you're getting like loads of likes, and you know, you can take it back. You know, if you're in school and you're seen as the one with all the friends because you're say good looking, then you know you might be a shell of a person and be, you know, horrible to people. But the perception is that you're great at what you do, you're successful, you've got life going for you, just because you have, you know, you might be good looking or you might have lots of friends. And
I mean, really, you could be struggling and going through all sorts, and nobody would ever know.
And the person who doesn't get a look in is actually doing amazing things every day, and maybe being in a household.
The funny thing is, the smartest people in my secondary school, no one particularly liked them. In my year, no one particularly liked the smartest people. Because of how they looked, but like they all had their own, because they were all together. They had their own.
Because they don't fit into a particular group of
because they never did out and did drugs. They never went out and partied. They never did anything, you know, bar from their own social circle.
They're not conforming to what.
They're not conforming to other people. So they was like, oh, well, they're nice and everything, but you know, they're just not our mates because they won't do this and that.
But nobody's knowing them as people, because if you spoke to them one-to-one, or say you needed help, that person could be the ideal person that would spend time helping you, where somebody else who you would class as a good friend wouldn't give you a second thought, because it's like, oh well, that doesn't fit into our way of culture and how we interact with each other. Once you've got a problem, you're tainted, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly.
Off you go. See, a point I'd like to make is that, you know, for me and Hayley, we were on this planet before these existed.
Yeah.
And we're not talking,
Alright, Jay, alright, calm down.
We're not talking chalk and blackboard.
T-Rexes then.
But the thing is, for people like me and Hayley, this is an incredible tool.
Yeah, my mum always says.
But for millennials,
it's basic for us. It's normal.
Well, no, it's normalised, but in the wrong way, because you guys are making the most of this technology.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we've had experience of, we've gone through years and years of going, God, you know what? If we had like email, if we had these technologies,
you just do this on the touch of my hand rather than
like you know, putting a post out years ago. I'm only talking 10 years ago. With the DJing and stuff, I would have to physically post flyers through people's letterboxes.
It's all day.
All day.
It could take you 2 minutes.
Hours and hours and hours. And the thought of being able to reach those same people through this device
it's been more accessible,
changes.
hasn't it? Yeah.
So, but it's interesting how kids aren't being taught how to use this.
Well, I've seen 2-year-olds work an iPad and like they can switch apps, they can play games, and it's weird how.
Well, it's developed to be intuitive, so you know, it feels natural how they would do things. Where we've had a life, so we've been used to doing things in a different way. So for us, it's a change. Where for somebody who's never done it before, it's natural. It's the first step. But it's like, you know, why aren't kids smashing the life out of this device and using it to make them millions of pounds? And honestly, like, we'd have to study in a library and get books, and God, it used to take forever.
There's so much knowledge just on one device. You can find anything you need to know from anywhere in the whole entire world in about 2 seconds. There's no.
You don't know how to do
even from like an original telephone. Like, I don't mean like mobile phones, like the ones that were used to be on like the corner, or you have to remember all your friends' numbers, and like if you got a missed call, you had to ring all your mates again and be like, did you just call me? No, okay, next number, did you just call me? Like that.
Anything you want to do.
We didn't have money to put in a telephone box. No, none of that.
There's even videos for it now, so you know, it's not just a case of being able to get the information and read it and then think, all right, I'm going to do this, and this.
You just YouTube a video of what you want to do, and it tells you how to do it.
So while the generation taking this as like, you know, boom, a passport to success.
Because I think we're all just taking it as, like I say, normality. Like it's not a privilege anymore to have one. It's just, it feels like more of a basic right now. Because obviously, you know, your 5 basic rights are obviously clothes, warmth, shelter, food, and water.
Said that twice.
Did I?
It's a phone, isn't it?
Anyway, but now more people, what's 5 basic needs? Well, there's my iPad, my iPhone, my Apple Watch, you know, like that. You know, people don't think of basic necessities anymore as basic necessities.
When we was at school, we weren't taught how to make money. We were taught subjects which really have no relevance on
how many stem cells are on a leaf,
on how we're going to work. And I get the fact that, you know, they're trying to get your mind working to be able to work things out. You know, it's like a bit like exercise and training to get you fit. But no one, you know, why aren't they teaching us to, you know, this is how you start a business up. This is how you get your funding for it. This is how you set your bank up.
They still don't teach that now. Okay, no, I can say that.
But kids it's the same thing. Kids are being programmed into using social media rather than being taught how to use this to get whatever you want. I mean, you can get.
Yeah, but a lot of it now is to keep kids quiet. As horrible as that sounds. It's like, right, okay, off you go, watch that. I need some peace.
Here's your game.
And that's because there's not enough of other things in place to help people, parents or whatever, to help them have downtime or deal with their mental health or whatever else. So when they need a break from the kids, the iPad's on.
Well, you know, while the subjects in school, you know, I mean, I did computing, I did IT, you know, subjects in school now that say, right, okay, if you want to learn TikTok, for example, or video, we'll teach you how to do things properly that you can make money out of. and
still stay safe.
and have a career. Well, yeah, that.
Well, they should be teaching it.
But
teaching about
rather
it
than
anyway.
rather than just you
But I'd rather not
bumbling
get.
onto social media and
I'd
stuff.
rather not, go up to my mate and go, oh, what lesson you got next? Science. What about you? Oh, TikTok. It'd be a bit.
Social media skills. It's
Well,
just what it is. It's IT. They
it's
should
now.
explore everything.
That'd be like a PSHE lesson. I forgot what it stands for. That's just what we called it.
Yeah, but to make money, have a career in, not just to mess
Yeah.
about in.
The
Yeah,
thing
of
is,
course.
there's a lot of parents out there who aren't tech savvy, who are not tech savvy at all, and then the kids are using these apps. And how can you safeguard a child when
If you don't know what you're doing
exactly.
yourself? Yeah.
So it should be taught on that respect of things. But I think with the old mental health and social media, from my point of view, it's very conflicting because through Broken Beauty and like with Men-talk, we're using it for a good purpose to get a good message out there, and people can access what we do through social media. And there's so many groups out there where you can get so much information and help and stuff like that, so it's not all negative. But then you've got, like your Snapchat and your Instagram with your filters, and it brings on this, especially for women, this fake life, what people show, and not just celebrities and magazines, what it used to be. Now it's more online, but what you're supposed to look like, comparing your life to somebody else's with the 2.4 children, happy family. And a lot of people contact me and they say, I'm not like this person or this person, I'm having problems. But when you actually look at the big picture, these shiny, happy photos they've got on, it's not any sort of
fake.
reality to what they're going through.
Yeah, of course.
But they feel that they have to portray this to people to show everybody that they're okay.
Yeah.
And it's not a true portrayal of what's going on at all. So it can be a very negative thing. But as well, like with what we do, it's accessible,
It's very deceivable.
So it's, it can be an amazing thing
Yeah.
and spread the word out there. But at the same time, it's very bad. I mean, I know personally, I used to look at it and get really quite, body conscious in myself. But kind of since I've been doing the group, I don't look now at all and I don't post fake things on there because I don't need to, and I don't have the desire to anymore.
Yeah.
Because I think, how can I go on and help people and talk to people if I'm doing that myself?
Yeah, of course.
And taking it on.
It's just one of them things, isn't it? But let's move on to the next. But we'll keep this as the last question. The last question. Then we'll call it a day because not only are we boring these, but I'm also super tired.
Wow. Okay, let's have a look. How will kids cope with social distancing? Should we tell them? Should we fight against it?
Well, they're naive, aren't they? Really, as kids, because they're not taught about looking after yourself. Really, are they? So after, I know if I was a kid, if I was 5, 6 years old, and my mum was like, "Oh, you can't touch anyone right now," I'd be a bit, I'd question it in that. But I see kids out all the time. I went on a walk the other day, and I just saw a group of 7 little kids just going around. They were hugging each other, doing whatever, and I was like, well, because I knew what it was. I was like, well, buddy, you can't do this. And they was like, oh, we don't care. We're kids. And I was like, yeah, but come on, like that. But they're naive in the way of they still feel like the world can't touch them. Especially going in the teenage years. Obviously every parent knows this more than I do. Your kid starts to feel like, oh, I can't be touched, I'm invincible. So not only is it like that for teenagers and that, but for kids, they just don't really know. They can't understand the dangers of it right now.
I mean, I think it's really bad, and I think that kids should be encouraged to interact. We are social animals, so we are born to touch and hug each other and communicate and bond. And what frightens me the most is that because of a virus, which I'm not trying to sort of say distract it from the seriousness of it, but kids at that age, if they don't learn how to bond with other humans, their development is really staggered. So when they get into their teens, their development skills in terms of relationships, I mean, through social media already, kids are having relationships through a machine, which is just crazy.
Yeah.
Because it's all fake, and
Well, is it fake though? Because obviously, you know, like you said, it's through a machine, but there's someone else on the other side.
You don't engage someone the same way.
It can
face
help
to face.
in a short
Yeah.
period of time. It's
Yeah.
an amazing thing, you know, like FaceTime and in long distance
Yeah, but like
relationships
you
and
can't
friendships. You
portray
know,
it.
if your family lives abroad, whatever, it's an amazing thing.
I mean, how many relationships has social media broken up?
Oh yeah, that's a fair point actually.
And the thing is as well, if you're having a relationship with someone using a machine compared to having one, because you can't have one, you can't have a real relationship, like, you know, because you don't know how to have one. You know, when she says this, you don't know what that means. When you want something, you don't know how to ask for it.
Yeah.
You without bonding through the early years and developing a solid understanding of what it means to communicate with someone, when you get older in life, you've got no chance of having a relationship with people. Never mind you people you work with, the kids that you have.
You're just going to have loads of socially awkward people.
Yeah.
Who'll just find it really strange and really difficult. And I think the thing is, with relationships, you can read a person and their emotions once you've spent time with them or you've grown up developing like that. But when it's through either text or over,
It's
FaceTime,
very hard to like portray.
somebody can come across completely wrong, giving you the wrong. It's however you read it, not how they wrote it. Because you haven't got that relationship.
Yeah. That's happened to me a lot of times. Like,
And how many times have you seen someone on here and then you met them in real life
and they've been like completely different? Yeah, loads of people. Where I've actually got my best mate in the world lives in Grimsby. We met over PlayStation. Didn't see his face. Didn't know nothing about him. We just started talking, and he went, "Let me add you on Facebook." And he just added me on Facebook, and he's my age. You know, he's born same age as same year as me and everything. And you know, he portrays himself differently to how he does in real life. Like, on social media, he's like this funny dude that you know doesn't care. But like in real life, he's a bit socially awkward, but he's still this fun dude. But not as big as he is on social media.
Because people can be anybody they want to be through a computer.
Yeah.
You can be the most outgoing, the loudest, but do you know what? In person you might be shy and timid, but I think if you grow up as well from being a child and you're told, right, you can't do this and you can't do that and you can't touch and you can't have them relationships with your grandma and your aunties and uncles, then kind of what hope have you got?
Yeah, and I know it's not just a case
playing
of
with other kids.
It's not just a case of like just don't touch, don't hug them because it's not the seen thing to do. The fear of God is being put into them. It's like, if you hug this person, that could, ultimately kill us all.
Yeah.
Or set this horrendous thing off when, if we are sort of open and honest about the number of, it's kind of like, what do we do? Do we become these socially awkward people going forward and have generations of people that can't communicate?
Or should we stay ignorance is bliss?
Or so we just sort of, face the virus or whatever else that's coming along, head on and stay united and try and work together and see what happens that way. This isn't the first time such a thing has happened, but God, if you guys at your generation level are going to have relationship problems, what are your kids going to be like?
Yeah, exactly.
Will you even have children? Relationships are really difficult as it stands, and nobody ever gets it right. But at least we've had maybe a bigger and better opportunity to work things out on a face-to-face level. Where kids nowadays, it's like...
See, the thing about being like older than like back, when I was like 16, 15, back in like my relationships then would only last like 2 weeks because
It felt like a lifetime though, I bet.
It felt like a bloody lifetime. Like every time I'd get back, I'm like, holy crap, I've got a girlfriend, like that. But now it's just like, okay, I've got a girlfriend. What can I do to make her feel better? What can I do? Kids nowadays don't think about that. They're like, I've got a girlfriend, that's it. But then it'll end in 2 weeks. But nowadays, when you grow up, you're like, oh, how can I help this person? How can I support it? There's no more being ignorant towards it, because obviously if you've got a problem, you want to tell your partner. If you've got like an issue, whether is it you want to be left alone or you want to constantly text them, it's about keeping in contact with your partner. But obviously back in like being as a kid, you just don't really know how to handle it, and that. So that's why relationships don't really last.
And it's a good example. It's like as a kid in this generation now, porn. you know, kids have got that much access to
Well, have you seen the Australian advert?
whatever porn they want.
You
But
can get it on any device as well.
Yeah.
but you know what? If that's all you've seen and experienced, and then you try to have a relationship with somebody
Using what
over
you
a
see.
device,
Yeah.
how do you know that is, you know,
Well,
porn is not the
there's-
normal
there's
way
an
to have a
advert.
relationship?
There's an advert that got released, I believe it's in Australia, but I might be New Zealand, where two porn stars knocked on someone's mum's door, and they went, "Oh, you're alright, your son's been watching us, so we just thought we'd turn around and," you know, they were in the nude and everything, they were like, "We just thought we'd turn around and say, obviously, we're actors, blah, blah, blah," and like, it hit so much because the mum turned around and saw the kid, and he was just there with his laptop, and he went, dropped his laptop because he was in shock, and they was like, "Hey buddy, just to let you know, this isn't real life."
Exactly.
And obviously, I'm pretty sure back in like the olden days and that, they used to have like adverts of like the devil coming to get you, say if you did anything wrong and that. Well, it weren't when I was around. It weren't when I was around. You know.
We didn't have it. It wasn't. It didn't exist. Yes, you would have like, you know, your top shelf magazines kind of thing, but it wasn't at the click of a finger. It wasn't accessible. So you know,
you weren't on your dad's history page.
going back to
Yeah.
other times, you know, if you wanted to, you know, have sex, you would have to find somebody. You would have to date them. You would have to, you know, have a relationship with them.
Chivalry.
Where now, if kids are just logging on and watching porn, then there isn't that need really to.
There's no passion really. Kids will be like, "Oh, okay, she'll just have sex with me."
And what do kids think that, you know, that their partner, all girls should do this, and then all girls have got to think, Christ, all boys out there watching porn. If we don't do X, Y, and Z,
it's already kind of a little bit like that.
It's
Social
also a lot
media
of
now,
pressure,
because I mean the amount of guys that can message girls with, you know, "Hi, how are you?" and then all of a sudden you get inappropriate pictures sent to you of something you really don't want to see.
That sounds like experience.
well, yeah, that's
you know,
how
this
it
is what happens now, and it's
yeah.
like, oh, if you know, with the dating apps, we swipe left, swipe right, you know, it's like all going on how you look in your picture.
It's all very judgmental, really.
But I think going back to like the social media side of things, you know, and the media, the TV, and what parents are learning from what's happening about the pandemic and stuff like that, there's a lot of mixed information.
Yeah.
So they're confused and they've got a lot of mental health and anxiety and all these problems. So in the family unit, what is that doing to the kids there?
Yeah.
And then what is that teaching the kids going forward? Going, do you know what, actually,
It's
you
about the
need to be
influence,
social
really, isn't it?
distancing.
Yeah.
You need to, but they don't a lot of parents and people don't understand that information themselves, let alone passing it to the children. So then, what is that moving forward? There's just not a clear view, and there should be.
It's got out of hand,
be a clear view.
and it's all just been allowed to exponentially grow. And like you say, none of us can keep track of any of it, and it's all dragging everybody in their own way along the wrong path. You know, for those people who you can send a post out, and they're whatever time of the day that you would happen to just send out a post, they will respond to it straight away. So they must get a notification.
Yeah. See, the thing is, I saw something the other day. It was this bloke, and I think it was 1990. It was like, "Oh, I've got a letter. Oh boy, I've got an email." But then it came to the same bloke in 2020. And it was like, "Oh, I've got an email. Wait, I've got a letter." You know, everything's switched round. You know, like this is dated back before Barthia times, by the way. People who were rich in the olden days used to own cars, and then everyone else owned a horse. But nowadays, everyone owns a car, but only the rich people own horses. Everything's switched.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, everything's switched due to how like more advanced and more, you know, thingy it's become for everything and everyone. But speaking of everything, I think that's about everything.
Yeah, it's been, it's
well,
been wonderful. Thank you.
This has been the end of the podcast.
It's been interesting.
We hope you enjoy it. Please comment what you find and like the most. So far, we're thinking of a broken podcast, but if you have any name suggestions, please just let us know. And that's it from us. So thank you.
Take care,
Take care.
guys. Bye.
Yo.